My name is Ashley, and this is An Album a Day, an English language podcast promoting commentary on South Korean pop music. This podcast covers mainstream, indie, and some underground artists within the scene and provides both factual and opinionated K-pop commentary. The biggest benefit to sharing my thoughts this way is that it will hopefully expose you to more great music and exploration of your own. We have a sponsor for today's episode, but before we even get into that, I just want you to know that the log I've been maintaining since the start of this show is not accessible. I use Airtable. They're a wonderful platform, but for whatever reason, it's just not opening up. So I still have my review for today, albeit it's a little bit late, and we'll get right into it. But if you just hear me clicking and grunting, it's because I want to get into my Airtable. So let's go ahead and get into this Apink album right after the drop.
You're tuned into An Album a Day. Show start.
You ever found yourself asking these questions? How can I start creating content? How can I be successful as an artist? How can I do what they're doing? Honey, you're asking yourself the wrong questions. The real question is, what the hell am I waiting for? Hi, I'm Sai, founder of Madasa Media, a fully functional digital media company geared toward Black, Brown, and Indigenous creatives. I've helped revitalize some of Austin's legacy media outlets, including Austin Woman Magazine and KAZI 88.7 FM. I've been at that crossroads of giving in and pressing forward, looking at the current climate, specifically in legacy media. Let me tell you something, none of that matters. When you have a calling and a purpose, the worst thing you can do is hold back. I'm offering an introductory workshop for creatives serious about making their passion their paycheck and their purpose their paradise. We'll explore your authentic voice, use comprehensive exercises to keep you motivated, a specialized playlist to get you through slow days, and more. Join me on Saturday, January 10th, 2026 at 1 p.m. CST, and we'll walk through Wonderland together. Until we meet, ponder this question. What am I waiting for? Registration opens on November 30th at 12 p.m. CST and lasts until December 31st at 11:59 p.m. CST. Limited spots available. Visit Madasa_media on Instagram for links to workshop details and the official Madasa Media website.
I will have the link for that opportunity in the description of this episode, but please, if you are a creative and you have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for your moment, 2026 is it. Hop into that. I know space is limited. Let's talk about Apink. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and type right here and pull this up. Okay, so Pink Revolution, this was the third full-length album by them. The ladies had taken a 14-month hiatus at this point. Now, mind you, April 2016, they did release a song from this particular 30-ish minute project, and that one was called The Wave, and it was on the 5th anniversary for the group's fans. Pink Panda. The Pandas. Okay, I love their names. And their little light stick is so cute. But this album didn't actually drop until September 2016. So there was a good chunk of time where it's like, well, what's coming from the ladies? What is it going to sound like? What is the experience that we're anticipating? This 9-track album really, of all the things we've listened to thus far for them, just sounds the most out of pocket. It really sounds like what they were trying to do in this so-called revolution, the Pink Revolution, is show that they can do a multitude of colors. And vocally, yes, they can, but experientially, this was not enjoyable. There were moments of ballads, moment of pop, moments of dance, the cheer-esque energy that you get from Twice at this point, a la After School Legacy. Shout out to those of you who are aware of what I mean when I talk about Twice being the cheerleaders of K-pop, that anthemic sound. If you were there for GMPD years ago for KPSN Podcast Fest, I expounded on it. Might be able to find that audio somewhere in the archives of everything I've done on this show. This is it's just a weird album. It starts off with only one. Go figure. I'm talking about Twice, Black Eyed Pilsung. We have talked about them before. I may not have really gotten super detailed into this production and songwriting duo, but we've talked about them when we were talking about 4 Minute. They did the song Volume Up. They're on other Apink songs. You're going to hear about them again when we get to They're also a part of Stacy's debut. They did Twice's like Ooh Ah, Likey, Sisters, Touch My Body. Like, you know their sound. You just may not have known who they are. And Rado and Choi Kyo-sung they're undefeated. They got a strong pen. The pen game is real. Yet and still, to start the album off with that, and then you get to a song like Boom Pow Love, where the vocals are engaging but the production seems very random for them, or Drummer Boy, or Ding Dong, these damn names. The names to these tracks. You have Only One, Oh Yes, Boom Pow Love, Fairy, Drummer Boy, To Us, Ding Dong, Catch Me, and The Wave. It really felt like the ladies were just grabbing for anything, and I don't know how much creative control they really had in this. Taking a good hiatus means you have time to regroup and have a moment to experience life, reassociate yourself with things that are going on outside of your work, and then you come back and hopefully you can bring something that is worthwhile. And I don't know how they felt about this. I see a variety of opinions on forums. If you can go back and find archival conversations about this, some fans really loved it, loved the fact that the women had an opportunity to try their hand at different things. And some were like, ew, next album. So I don't know. At some point, I'm sure in the media, they've made some type of commentary about this where they may have said one thing, but their facial expressions may have expressed another. I just don't feel like this was the best thing to come back with to show that you have matured or that you have interests in other things. At this point in K-pop consumption, we see a lot of groups have a greater opportunity to ease into their adulthood in a different limelight. It's not always the same of seeing the boy bands go from bubblegummy and very sweet boyfriend next door to angsty, throwing things, Niga Ham Young, God7. And that's not jabbing at my boys. That's just the first thing that popped to my mind of showing, oh wow, now they're grown. Twice is a perfect example of being able to ease into their womanhood. Miss A had an opportunity too, but not quite as well cultivated as Twice. 2 p.m. didn't have this moment. Miss A came in with the girlfriend crush thing. So Apink, we're in a really interesting space with having to go ahead and still maintain the preciousness of what Apink is expected to be, but you can hear in their vocals that these women are evolving. And the album just didn't support that or cradle that well enough for what I believe would have been beneficial for them. K-pop fans, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being essential listening and 1 not worth mentioning, the A3-Day ranking for this album is a 3. I think this is the lowest ranking I've given any album. This was a risk. It genuinely was, and they met it head on as best as possible, but I do hope that whatever is in store after this album brings us more color and more vibrancy that's consistent, and that's not to pigeonhole them into a particular style, but consistent with what we expect from them and a greater reflection of their growth. Thank you for being patient with me. I will address next episode what's been going on with me and how it's kind of pulled me away from things. But thank you for being patient and hanging in there. And I will catch y'all in the next episode. Bye, y'all.